As a whole, society will strive on the use of alternative and renewable sources of energy, straying from fossil fuels that are currently harming our society. First, I will start by covering what renewable sources of energy can do for our economy. According to Procon.org, only a small amount of land in a barren desert, 17% to be exact, can provide enough energy to power all of America, even if everybody owned an electric vehicle. Despite this, society may not have the energy storage that all the power cells, storage cells, dams, and turbines can produce. This problem can easily be solved by building energy houses, batteries that are big enough to store all of the energy. And this is from popsy.com. Another argument is that coal factories can provide lots of jobs for people in our economy. Another solution to this is by building all of these building lots of solar cells, dams, and windmills, and they can provide lots of jobs that can easily replace coal jobs in factories. These energy alternatives can provide a lower cost in the future, but at the beginning they can have a higher cost that could potentially be a downside to our society. I think that's the same source, popsy.com. Additionally, cities can have factory workers move to more safer environments, such as maintenance for renewable sources, such as wind turbines, so that they can get away from all the toxins and chemicals that factories and coal mines produce. This will reduce the exposure to the air pollution around these workers by 100%, as they are getting out of that toxic environment in the factories. Same source. Society can slowly weave away from these fossil fuels and remove more as society goes on. We can use the remaining fossil fuels that we have to move on to these alternative sources of energy, which can be very beneficial. It takes only about 4 hours to build a solar panel, according to newsenergysage.com. If we had hundreds of people working on these a day, then we could easily get lots of solar panels done in under a year. This fact that renewable energy is better for our environment, our life, and our workers is also evident, as we can get people out of dangerous mines and move them up to security jobs, which can also prevent graffiti that can ruin our renewable sources of energy. Fossil fuels are running out and society is running out of time. Society is ready for a change. Society just needs to complete what has been coming for the past multiple years. No matter the cost, no matter the hardships, society needs to do what must be done. We need a change. We need to protect those who are still alive. We need to preserve our world. Thank you, and vote for the proposition.
My name is Trevor Kelly, and I'm the first speaker for the opposition, arguing that fossil fuels are more reliable and do not depend on weather conditions. First, I would like to refute my opponent's manipulative and inconsiderate assertions and points. The proposition is not considered every point in relation to removal of CO2, such as alternate CO2 removers like kelp and kelp farming, something our opposition's next speaker will go more in depth on. In relation to the amount of jobs, according to the Daily Signals article, only half of jobs will be replaced if we switch to other energy sources. When you think about fossil fuels, most people's train of thought is from fossil fuels to CO2, and then from CO2 to uncanny, unwelcome. Although it may be true that CO2 is not the best for the environment, I would like to point out that global warming has still remained only a theory. Stopping the use of fossil fuels would discontinue the flow of efficient energy to every home, every machine, every hospital, and everyone. This discontinuation of fuels would also stop big companies such as Shell Gas in their tracks, giving the economy a remarkable downgrade in payment and jobs, according to the Daily Signals article. What if the government banned fossil fuels? This discontinuation would also cause a massive uproar with the public, mostly public, that has been negatively affected by the discontinuation. As stated before, fossil fuels are more reliable and than other energy sources, and obviously do not depend on weather conditions. Unlike solar panels, which will only operate correctly and efficiently during the 12 hours of the occasional sunny day, and wind turbines, which will only operate correctly and efficiently in medium to high winds, fossil fuels are always ready to be used 24/7 on demand. The idea of ending fossil fuels reign may sound like a jolly good idea now, but some thinking time will reveal the real consequences of this idea. The media has created this antipathy towards fuels, and my partners Trevor and Lily will show you what those consequences are next. Thank you. Proposition continue.
Hello, I'm Keely McGinley, and I would like to give this speech. Before I begin, I would like to refute some of the points my opponents made. First of all, Trevor Kelly pointed out that global warming is just a theory, though this theory is one of the strongest theories society has made. Global warming has affected oceans, to forests, to everybody. Now, to begin my speech. Many people realize that fossil fuels are disgraceful and renewable energy can save us from global warming. But how exactly do fossil fuels harm the earth and renewable energy stop it? When you fuel up your car or put coal in a fire, you're only contributing to the horrors and the environmental breakdown from drilling oils. These coals that you put in your fire can make smoke that contribute to global warming, and the coal itself tears apart mountains and beautiful landscapes just for the use of coal. Also, the factories that refine coal and put it to safe use for cars are highly dangerous due to the fact that they can explode. These factories can cause major oil leaks to the surrounding areas, harming the beautiful habitats and animals which might already be endangered. Also, the oil tanks delivering the oil to the refinement places could also explode, causing damage to the driver and the surrounding area. These explosions can affect forests, which have to take time to recover. And it will be different than any forest fire. These seedlings will have to try to grow through this terrible oil, but they can't. These forests will be impossible to recover unless the soil is replaced. But where will we get all of this polluted soil to go? The ocean? If we put all this pollution from the oil into the ocean, it will harm more wildlife. And much as it harmed the forest, and it will take even more time to clean. These places, like coal factories, cause smoke and mercury emissions, which make it hard to see, breathe, or unsafe to even get close to. These smog can travel to communities and towns to harm lungs and citizens living there. Also, compared to these factories, solar panels are much safer because they're made of silicon, which is found in the crust layer of the earth and only take up about 28% of the crust. According to freshwaterfuture.com, these harmful fossil fuels can work their way into our drinking water and other sources of water. Water is critical for someone to live, and if water can't be turned back, if water can't be turned back into drinking water for months, this can cause huge problems for people in the community. Renewable energy can take advantages of these clean environments and make sure they still stay clean without ruining the environment. These forests that were ruined will gain time to recover, and they will grow back into the actual forest but the pollution won't help. This is why we need to act now. We need to stop fossil fuels and switch over to renewable energy. Proposition, please.
Hi, my name is Trevor Schulte, and I am the second speaker for the opposition. I would like to start by refuting Kelly's points. First off, when she says that fossil fuels cause environmental damage to the environment, solar panels also do this. Because according to Seattle Pod, Solar panels contain toxic chemicals including hydraulic acid, sulfuric acid, gallium arsenide, and cadmium telluride. Obviously, these can also hurt the environment just as much as fossil fuels might endanger the environments. There are also ways of these pollutions from fossil fuels to be reduced. For example, there are ways of sucking CO2 out of the air by making reliable machines that harvest the air, puts the CO2 out of the air, and then puts the new and sustainable air back into the atmosphere. According to Fast Company, these full-scale plants that will remove the air can capture 1 million tons of CO2 from the air each year. While the plants will only make it cost $100 to remove 1 ton of air. And then these CO2 can be produced into these small measurement fractions, which will be turned to bricks and become very condensed. These fossil fuels can also be very cheap and easy to obtain compared to solar power and wind power, which means poor people can afford efficient energy. Fossil fuels can also help nearby economies, which makes taking away fossil fuels would damage most economies. Fossil fuels can also can always be used, as Trevor Kelly has stated earlier, while solar panels can only be used some times of the day, and turbines can stop working if the wind is too powerful and might cause the machine to break. Most glass in solar panels cannot be recycled because they're mostly impure glass, because glass is surrounded by lead, plastics, and can be dumped. According to Forbes, 200,000 metric tons of solar waste were made in 2016. Wind turbines can also destroy forests because they require clear land, which can kill 200,000 birds each year. I am Trevor Schulte, and vote for the proposition, please.
The opposition.
The opposition. Sorry.
But you could definitely vote for the proposition.
Please don't.
Second. Struggling. All right. In order to best show what our points can demonstrate, I would like to first refute the points that the opposition has made. To start, solar panels are made from weird chemicals as well as glass. Most solar panels are made from a silicon compound, which is one of the most common materials in the ground. Second, there are kelp farms and stuff that can take away the CO2 from the air. If you have to take something out of the air that your weird creation caused, there's probably a problem with that creation.
Source.
Second, they are always usable. Always usable until they run out. They are not renewable. They are not coming back. Now on to my point. So, the rest of my team has tried selling you on the bonuses of renewable energy. I, however, would like to take a different approach. Instead, saying why society should ditch the evil that is fossil fuels. To start, I will state a fact that many have said before. Coal, oil, and natural gas are limited resources. They will run out. If not now, then later. If not soon, then eventually. Even given that they will run out, making an oil field, according to reportingoilandgas.com, can take up to 10 years and cost well over $100 billion. It costs $6,000 for a solar array, which is significantly lower. This figure was taken from both EnergySage.com and UCSUSA.org. It takes $3 billion to get the same amount of watts it took $100 billion in fossil fuels to produce. This isn't even taking into account the yearly operating costs of both, in which, according to PowerFromSunlight.com, society would need 72,000 solar panels to even reach close to the operating cost of one coal power plant. According to EnergySage.com, when a coal factory and oil tanker explodes, they cause more damage than any renewable source could. They are horrible for the environment, with one oil spill being able to ruin an entire ecosystem, maybe even one of our massively endangered reefs. This is all according to response.restoration.noaa.gov. In addition, factories and drills need to be built far away from society due to just how ugly they are and how much smog they produce. Fossil fuels require time to mine or drill, whereas renewable resources are immediately usable after they have been built. Even after these dirty fuels are ripped from their safe place underground, they have to be refined into something that is actually useful for society. Big businesses are the only people who like fossil fuels. It's funny, the only people who want something to still be used are the ones making money for it. According to a statement from Phillips 66, one of the largest oil companies in the world, who are trying to make renewable diesel, it is uncertain whether or not they could get a permit to build this thing. Shell also failed to succeed in their attempts at clean fuel. It is good that companies are trying to get clean fuel, but when a company, Shell, makes $305 billion a year off of oil, according to a statement from their CEO, and then tries and fails to invest $6 billion into renewable energy, there has to be a problem. Everyone knows that fossil fuels harm the environment, but up to this point, society has been too lazy to do anything. This has to change. Please vote for the proposition for a better, cleaner future. Thank you.
May I have one moment, please? Hello, my name is Lily Fox, and I'm the third speaker for the proposition. Before I begin my argument, the opposition, gosh darn it, the opposition. Before I begin my argument, I would like to rebut what my opponent said. What my opponent fails to remember is that we do not argue that we should continue to use fossil fuels the way that we do now. We argue that continuing to use fossil fuels while slowly integrating into renewable energy and making safer ways of transporting fossil fuels instead of the dangerous trains and pipelines that we use to transport oil at the moment. Now onto my argument. We believe that completely transitioning to alternative energy sources would be irresponsible, detrimental even to the economy. According to the US Department of Energy, 1.9 million people in America alone work in the fossil fuel industry. That is more than the population of the city of Philadelphia. Many of these people are destitute, living paycheck to paycheck in states like Pennsylvania and West Virginia, the most impoverished in the nation.
Source?
That is the US Department of Energy. Thank you. It is vital that we do not take away their means to live, as the proposition unjustly proposes. Additionally, this isn't just an issue in our nation, but a topic of great importance all around the world. Developing countries like Venezuela and South Africa are rich in oil and coal, very valuable natural resources. It would be an atrocity if we were to stunt their economic growth, especially when we have profited off of it for years. Pakistan and India were literally torn in two so that the British could have better access to oil, displacing thousands. Now that they are sovereign nations, it would be downright cruel to not only have ruined the lives of millions of innocent people, but also to say that they can no longer profit from it just as they themselves get to enjoy the benefits of the oil and coal trade. Saying that we should completely transition to renewable energy is an incredibly privileged and callous view, and it would not consider the millions of people who depend on the fossil fuel industry for their livelihood. As you can clearly see from the arguments of my team, the opposition is correct. Fossil fuels are far more reliable than alternative energy. Transitioning is not the only way to solve the climate, no thank you, crisis, and it would be irresponsible from an economic standpoint to fully transition, placing millions out of work. This is why, from the bottom of our hearts, we urge you to vote for the opposition. Thank you.